Come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City of Romulus City Council regular meeting for Monday, July 7th, 2014. And let the roll show that all members are present. Tonight's council meeting agenda is as follows. Number 1, agenda, 2 minutes, 3 petitioner, 4 chairperson's report, 5 mayor's report, 6A clerk's report, 6B treasurer's report, 7 public comment, 8 unfinished business, 9 new business, 10 communication, and 11 adjournment. And a motion would be in order to accept the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Support.
Been motion by Ms. Makowski, supported by Mr. Kraut for approval of agenda as presented. Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Choate?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo? Chair votes yes, agenda approved.
Number 2 minutes. Under 2A, request approval of the minutes from the regular council meeting held June 23rd, 2014.
So moved for the minutes of June 23rd, 2014.
Support.
Been motion by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Mr. Makowski, for the approval of the minutes from the regular council meeting held June the 23rd, 2014. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Makowski?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Abstain.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Choate?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved.
2B, request approval from the minutes from the special meetings that were held on June 23rd, 2014. At 6:30 p.m., there was a closed session meeting to discuss union matters. At 6:45 p.m., there was a study session regarding Romulus Community Schools tax collection agreement. And at 7 p.m., there was a study session regarding policies and procedures. And again, a motion would be in order to accept the special meeting minutes from June 23rd, 2014.
So moved. Support.
Well, it's been motioned by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Makowski, for approval of the minutes from the special meeting held on June 23rd, 2014, 6:30 p.m. Closed session, union matters, 6:40 p.m. Study session, Romulus Community School tax collection agreement, 7 p.m. Study session, policy and procedures. Any discussion? Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Abstain.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Choate?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
There are no petitioners on the agenda tonight. Number 4 is the chairperson's report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Today, we had a 7 p.m. closed session meeting discussing pending union matters. And at this time, I'm going to yield the chair recognize Councilwoman Makowski.
So earlier tonight, we had a closed session where we had an overview of the tentative agreement with the AFSCME Local 1917 from Council 25, and that information was presented. The AFSCME Local represents our 2 supervisors at the DPW. So there were, I'll summarize 2 things. There was an identical change to the recently ratified Teamster contract. So all those elements are aligned with the AFSCME contract. In addition, there were a few key elements that were clarified around subcontracting. Now we're allowed to hire an on-call foreman in addition to the 2 existing foremen. Clarification on leave of absence timing and for the long-term disability leave. We also allowed an increase in the number of the days that the employee can sell back to the city, and then making sure their vacation scheduling plan was agreed. And then also clarified language on healthcare insurance cost share for new hires to be 20%, but still ensuring that city employees who might want to transfer into the AFSCME Local as a supervisor have the ability to move without being penalized, because we want that kind of growth, within. Some overtime language was clarified, and then lastly, city-owned vehicle usage was clarified and the requirements for that. So based on that, I move that the council approve the tentative contract with AFSCME Council 25, Local 1917.
Been motioned by Mr. Makowski, supported by Mr. Wadsworth, to accept the tentative agreement with ratify the tentative agreement with the ASME Council 25, Local 1917, that represents 2 supervisors at the DPW. This contract is aligned with the recently ratified Teamsters contract with a few clarifications as outlined by Ms. Makowski. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Choate?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved. Next, I would like to yield, the chair recognizes Councilman Wadsworth.
Thank you, Mr. Barden. I want to talk to the public about a telephone scam that's going on in our town. And about 6 weeks ago, I had a resident call me up and said that they got a call from the Internal Revenue saying that they had owed so much funds and so forth and so on. Of course, I told them at that point that, you know, the Internal Revenue does not call you on the phone. So lo and behold, about 2 weeks ago, my son that lives across the street, he gets a call from a specialist agent posing as James from the Internal Revenue in criminal investigation. And I'll give you the phone number for 1 second. But the thing was, he went on and on threatening to put my son in jail, blah, 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 blah. And he told him that my son owed $4,990.57. So once a cop, always a cop. So I went back across the street and I called from my house, and I called area code 415-251-8730, and lo and behold, Internal Revenue agent James answered the phone. I said, "Sir, you called me on the telephone," and he said, "Well, what's your name?" So I told him my name was Ray Czech, C-Z-E-C-H, a fellow that I played football with in high school 50 years ago. He says, "Let me put you on hold." Lo and behold, he comes back and he threatened they were going to issue a warrant, pick me up. And Mr. Check also owed $4,990.57. So, and I talked to Chief Leacher about this. Point being, and of course, Agent James turned me over to Michelle Brown at the collection agency. And I said, "Ma'am, you know, I want to take care of this. I don't want to go to jail." "Well, you can send us a direct bank wire deposit." Well, at that point, I stopped talking and I hung up. But point being, public, the folks out there, the Internal Revenue does not call your house to ask you for any type of cash. And I'm going to give these phone numbers, and maybe we put them on the cable for the people to read. They're, people can write them down. They're area code 415-251-8730, and also 415-251-9049. And it's Agent Brown. The Internal Revenue will not call you on the phone. But, you know, sometimes people get weak, and I just wanted to tell the public about what happened.
Thank
Okay.
you, Mr.
Thank you.
Wadsworth. I have an announcement to make. This concerning APA. It's their 73rd anniversary from the Romulus Community Festival, also known as the Jones Sub Festival. At the T.J. Coleman Center on 35351 Beverly Road in Romulus, just west of Wayne Road. They have activities, outdoor festival Friday. It's a community talent show on the 25th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. There's a meet, greet, games, refreshments, DJ, Roy Williams each day. On Saturday, the festival is all day, that's July the 26th. That's 12 noon to 9 p.m. Activities, pony rides, children under 12, fun, food, and music. And on Sunday, the gospel celebration, July 27th from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Church choir, praise dancers, and other guests. Vendors available each day. Bring your own lawn chairs. For vendor booths, raffle tickets, please contact Gene Tillman at 734-728-9904. Lloyd Coleman, area code 734-775-7866. For further information, you can contact Carolyn Jones at area code 313-485-1312. Tell your friends and say, pass it on. No alcohol or pats allowed. And I'd like to say, I hope everyone had a happy holiday and 4th of July. I had a couple of people come up to me and say they really was pleased that a lot of people cut off their fireworks at 11 o'clock. They went by the ordinance, followed it pretty well. Got a lot of people that are saying that much better, and the ordinance is pretty good. I know you always gonna have somebody gonna pop some at 3 in the morning, but majority of them did a good job. With that, that concludes the chairman's report.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes, Ms. Makowski.
I move we accept your report.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Makowski, supported by Ms. Roscoe, to accept the chairperson's report. Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Choate?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo? Yes. Chair votes yes. Motion approved. Thank you.
Number 5 is the mayor's report.
Good evening, council, clerk, and audience. Quote I brought tonight kind of ties into John's message. It goes as this: the greatest gift you can give your children are the roots of responsibility and the wings of independence. And we see our kids grow with independence, and I wanted to also wish all our residents happy Independence Day. You know, we remember what it was all about, and the fact that we have best form of government in the world. It's not perfect, but it's the best form of government in the world, in my opinion. Couple short things, and I'll get into my regular report. We've been working hard to try to get some initiatives. You've heard about the Elmer Johnson Park and doing some things with parks. Before the 4th of July holiday, I wanted to thank our DPW workers for getting out. They did get Fernandez Park cut. There's some more work to be done there. Also, Park 1 as well is cut so that people could at least get in and utilize the parks for the holidays. There's some more touch-up work to be done, and we'll try to keep you informed as we're improving the opportunity for parks and recreation. Also today, and council's aware of this with the new Teamster contract, it did have a provision for the part-time seasonal help. Today we had 5 part-time seasonal workers start. That'll help with some of the ground issues. As you recall, we had to kind of eliminate the grounds crew. We didn't have people that could spend as much time as desired keeping the parks and buildings and facilities up, so that'll definitely help with it, and we welcome them on, and they're going to do a good job assisting with the Teamsters to make sure that we're keeping our facilities clean and tidy. Couple things for my normal business report. First one up is 5A. What you have before you is already interest in Elmer Johnson, and there's some activities that are planned there, and what we have is a request to authorize a no-fee permit to Blue Sky Ice Cream and Hamburgers for a charity event that they're going to be having for the active military overseas, and they want to basically have a special event, all-day events going on for the July 24th, where they're going to be the attached memo that you see some of the activities they're going to be putting on, but there's a ton of interest already, and this is just one example of it.
So moved, Mr. Chairman, for a no-fee permit for Blue Sky Ice Cream and Hamburgers.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Mr. Kraut, to authorize a no-fee permit for Blue Sky Ice Cream and Hamburger charity event for active military overseas from 12 p.m. to close. Any discussion?
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
If I could, as the mayor, now that we've got Elmer Johnson on the table, the people that play horseshoes there, thank you. They met last week. I know nothing to do with this, but it went from like 20 to 50 of them showed
I heard
up.
they've got a great group,
And
a
they
lot of
really do
interest.
appreciate what you did. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wadsworth.
Mr.
Yes.
Chair, there's a phone number here for information, more information for this thing for Blue Sky. It is 734-941-2583. If you want more information on getting involved, they're going to have baseball games and classic car show, concessions, so on and so forth. So there's a lot going on out there.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Ms. Roscoe.
Just one more point.
Ms.
It's
Makowski.
July 24th, noon to close. Be there.
All right. Roll call vote. Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Mr. Kraut.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Ms. Makowski.
Yes.
Ms. Choate.
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved.
Thank you, council. Next up is 5B. What you have is a request for the subrecipient agreement with Wayne County Community Development Block Grant Program that had been previously presented to you in a study session. You can see it impacts a lot of different areas from housing rehabilitation, senior services, a park project at the Coleman Center, Parks and Recreation, which is not one person, that's a director and some other part-time. And that's kind of creative ways that we're able to do some recreation program. I can also tell you, our office has been hopping. Tanya Cofield's been busy getting people enrolled in recreation. They're excited about it, so I bring that to you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Ms. Choate.
I would like to make a motion that we concur with the administration and approve the proposed sub-recipient agreement between City of Romulus and Wayne County for the expenditure of community development block grant funds for the term July 1st, 2014 to June 30th, 2019. And our allocation includes $5,000 for housing rehabilitation, $12,000 for senior services, $36,000 for the APA Coleman Center Park, $73,312.03 for Parks and Recreation job creation, and $17,741.82 for some park restoration in qualifying areas, for a grand total of $144,053.85.
Support.
Been motioned by Ms. Choate, supported by Ms. Makowski, to concur with the administration and approve the proposed sub-recipient agreement between the City of Romulus and Wayne County for the expenditures of Community Development Block Grant Fund for the term July 1st, 2014 through June the 30th, 2019. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Ms. Choate.
Yes.
Ms. Makowski.
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Kraut.
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. Next up, 5C is just the renewal for our SEMCOG membership dues.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Roscoe.
I'll make the motion to authorize payment to SEMCOG in the amount of $2,670. Said dues are for membership from June 15th, 2014 through June 15th, 2015.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Roscoe, supported by Ms. Makowski, to authorize payment to the SIPCA in the amount of $2,670. Said dues are for the membership from June 15, 2014 through June 15, 2015. Discussion. Hearing none. Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Ms. Makowski.
Yes.
Mr. Rosworth.
Yes.
Mr. Kraut.
Yes.
Ms. Choate.
Yes.
Mr. Abdo.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. Next up is 5D, and you have a request to concur with the recommendation of Kevin Kraus, Deputy Fire Chief, and authorize disposal of Fire Engine 302 through the KBR recycling. The amount will be $3,500.
So moved, Mr. Chairman, to dispose of engine 302 at the recommendation of Deputy Chief Kraus.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Abdo, to authorize the disposal of Fire Engine 302 through KBR recycling in the amount of $3,500. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, if I may just make one clarification, that $3,500, we received that money, and that was the highest bid.
Correct.
That was,
Thank you.
so,
Thank you, Ms. Makowski. Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Ms. Makowski.
yes.
Mr. Kraut.
Yes.
Ms. Choate.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. Next up is 5E, and what you have a request is to do introduction of Budget Amendment 14/15-2. That's to increase the allowable transfer from the major street funds to the local street funds that allow for our Brant Road project or repairs.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Ms. Makowski.
If I may, I'd like to move that we approve the Budget Amendment 14/15-2 to increase the allowable transfer from the major street funds in the amount of $175,000 to the local street fund for the Brant Road repairs.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Makowski, supported by Mr. Kraut, to introduce Budget Amendment 14/15-2 to increase the allowable transfer from the major street funds to the local street fund for Brant Road repairs. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Ms. Makowski.
Yes.
Mr. Kraut.
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Ms. Choate.
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. Next up is 5F. We have an introduction of Budget Amendment 14/15-3, and that's to move the 13/14 budgeted cemetery funds into the next following budget year, and that was for a bid awarded on 13/14/23 and the June 23rd 14 City Council meeting, and it was $8,225 was the amount.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Abdo.
I'll make that motion to introduce budget 14/15-3 to move the 2013-14 budgeted cemetery funds into the 2014-15 budget for the bid 13/14-23 awarded June 23rd, 2014 City Council meeting.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Cho. We introduce Budget Amendment 14/15-3 to move the 2013-14 budgeted cemetery funds into the 2014-15 budget for bid 13/14-23 awarded at the June 23rd, 2014 City Council meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Ms. Cho.
Yes.
Ms. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth. Mr. Roscoe.
Yes.
Ms. Makowski.
Yes.
Mr. Crowe.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
Thank you, council. Next up is 5G. What we have is a request to extend bid award 11/12-22. That's an additional year to Raymart Asphalt for the application of the hot bituminous or coal patch from major and local streets on an as-needed basis, along with any asphalt repairs that the city may need for the Buildings and Grounds Department, and that has been budgeted in the local streets and contractual services account.
So moved, Mr. Chairman, for the one-year extension of the bid award 11/22-22 for that hot black stuff they put on the ground.
Support.
Bituminous.
Support.
That's what I said.
Do we have
I support it.
support on that? Who support?
Kathy?
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Abdo, to extend bid award 11/12-22 for additional year to Raymart Asphalt for application of hot bituminous mixture for the repair of major and local streets on an in-needed basis, along with any asphalt repairs for the city facilities within the Building and Grounds Department. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
I
Ms.
just have
McCoskey.
one other comment, that Raymart was the lowest bidder, and they have extended the same cost as 2013. So they were the lowest bidder then, they've given us another year.
They're a good supplier, and they're a local supplier.
Yep.
Great. Thank you. Roll call vote. Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Ms. Makowski.
Yes.
Mr. Crowe.
Yes.
Ms. Cho.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
The last one is 5H. You have a request to extend bid award 12/13-02 through the end of 2014. That's for pavement marking in the city of Romulus for the DPW projects, and that's RS Contracting Incorporated, also coming out of the major and local street contractual services account.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Ms. Cho.
I'd like to make the motion that we extend bid award 12-13-02 through the end of 2014 for pavement marking for the City of Romulus, Department of Public Works, and that would be awarded to RS Contracting Incorporated.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Cho, supported by Ms. Abdo, to extend bid award 12/13-202 through the end of 2014 for pavement markings for the City of Romulus Department of Public Works to RS Contracting Incorporated. Discussion.
One comment, sir, if I may.
Yes, go ahead, Ms.
Again, I'm a broken record, but the team negotiated, the administration negotiated with them. It's the same price as 2012, 2013, and they were the lowest bidder then. So keep up the good work.
Great. Thank you. Roll call. Ms. Cho.
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth. Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Ms. Makowski.
Yes.
Mr. Crowe.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
That concludes my report, council. Thank you.
Thank you.
6A is the clerk's report under 6A1 for second reading and final adoption as Budget Amendment 14/15-1, Brant Road Project for $54,223 from the local street fund, and this budget amendment was introduced at the council meeting of June 23rd, 2014.
So moved for second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 14/15-1 for the Brant Road project.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Makowski, supported by Ms. Roscoe, for second reading and final adoption of Budget Amendment 14/15-1, Brant Road Project. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Ms. Makowski.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Mr. Kraut.
Yes.
Ms. Choate.
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
6A2, for first reading and approval, are the amended policies and procedures, numbers 3, 10, 11, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, and 26, along with the policy statement. And just, for the audience, that there were two previous study sessions on the policies and procedures, which were held on May 27th and June 23rd.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Ms. Choate.
I'd like to make a motion that we grant approval for the first reading and approval of the amended policies and procedures. Policy number 3, number 10, 11, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, and 26, along with the policy statements.
Support.
I'd just like to say that this group worked very hard on these policies, and pretty soon, we're going to be finished. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay. Roll call vote. Ms. Choate.
Yes.
Ms. Makowski.
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Kraut.
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
6A3, I, your city clerk, I'm requesting a study session for July 14th at 5:30 PM, and this is to discuss a charter amendment proposal for the November 4th, 2014 general election ballot.
So moved, Mr. Chairman, for the meeting on July the 14th at 5:30 to discuss a charter proposal amendment for the November election.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Ms. Roscoe, for study session request from City Clerk Ellen Craig Braggs for July the 14th, 2014 at 5:30 PM to discuss a charter amendment proposal for the November 4th, 2014 general election ballot. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Choate?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, we'll have a study session.
6A4, Kevin Kraus, Deputy Fire Chief, is requesting a 30-minute study session on July 14th, 2014 at 6 o'clock to discuss a billing service agreement between the City of Romulus and AccuMed Billing Incorporated. And again, the dates and times are available.
So moved. Schedule study session for Kevin Kraus for July 14th at 6 PM to discuss the billing agreement.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Abdo, supported by Ms. Makowski, for study session request from Deputy Fire Chief Kevin Kraus for July 14th, 2014, at 6 PM to discuss the billing service agreement between the City of Romulus and Fume Billing Incorporated. Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Ms. Makowski.
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Kraut.
Yes.
Ms. Choate.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
6A5, Abby Akins, Assistant Finance Director, is requesting a 1-hour study session on August the 4th, 2014, at 6 o'clock PM, and this is to discuss the remaining policies and procedures.
So moved to schedule the study session request on August 4th at 6 PM.
Support.
A motion by Ms. Makowski, supported by Ms. Choate, for a study session request from Assistant Finance Director Abby Atkins for August the 4th, 2014 at 6 PM to discuss remaining policies and procedures. Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Choate?
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion approved.
6A6, John Leacher, Director of Public Safety, is requesting a 30-minute study session for August 4th, 2014, at 7 o'clock p.m., and this is to discuss the City of Romulus's scoreboard.
So moved to schedule the study session as requested August 4th at 7 PM for the scorecard.
Support.
The motion by Ms. Makowski, supported by Ms. Roscoe, for study session request from Public Safety Director John Leacher for August the 4th, 2014, at 7 p.m. to discuss City of Romulus scorecard. Makowski.
Yes.
Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Wadsworth.
Yes.
Mr. Kraut.
Yes.
Ms. Choate.
Yes.
Ms. Abdo.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion approved.
Before I close, I just want to say, I know that there are a lot of study sessions scheduled, especially next week, but this week, our corporate municipal attorney is on vacation. And so we are trying to spread them out. That's why several of them are for next week. And then just a reminder, on that last council meeting in July, look your best. Pretty smile, we're taking pictures. So that's reserved for you all. And so, again, thank you for being patient with us. We're really trying to spread out these study sessions, but they are really important, so that's why.
Okay.
Next week will be quite busy.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Clerk.
Thank you. That concludes the clerk's report. 6B is the treasurer's report. Our city treasurer is on vacation this week, so we're praying that she and her family have a safe time and a safe journey back home. Number 7, public comment, and this is a portion of our meeting where those in the audience have an opportunity to address council. If you would like to speak, raise your hand. After you've been acknowledged by our chairperson, approach the podium stating your name, and we ask that you please limit your comments to 3 minutes. We do not have any written requests this evening.
Are there any other comments from the audience? Mr. Green.
Good evening, citizens,
Good evening.
council, clerk, treasurers. This past week, we had some 4th of July celebrations that, for the most part, went pretty good. A couple of incidents, one at the school, block party. Well, I'm here as a concerned parent, and as a concerned dad, and as a concerned community person, as we such say. I was on my Facebook page, and just to give you a little bit, someone said that no more hanging out in large gatherings. I'm not going to do this anymore. It was just too much for me and my family. I got a 2-year-old. And they referred to a situation that happened out in Inkster, 2-year-old girl getting shot, so on and so forth. So I thought to myself, and I said, wait a minute. We're not Inkster. We've always been different than Inkster. We've always been Romulus. Romulus never, ever, in the lifetime of history that I've been here, my parents have been here, my brothers and sisters, all 13 of us have been here. Never have we come to a point to where we are right now. I'm calling on the city, the dads, moms, whomever. If you change the environment, you change the child. A lot of parents are sitting there just throwing their kids out every morning. Hey, you can't just do that. You have to mentor to these kids now. It's no reason why children should be disrespectful to adults in supervisory positions, whereas when an adult says something, they go tell their parent come back and want to fight the adult. You guys are thinking wrong, and it's totally upsetting to me because we were brought up, Leroy, we went to school together. We were brought up with respect. When an elder tells you to do something or what they ever tell you to do, you did it without question. And if you had a question, you went back to your parents, they probably smacked you on your butt and told you to do what they told you to do. We need to get that back. We've lost it in our community. I swear to you, I'm out here every day with these kids. I'm at the high school, the middle school, from sunup to sundown. I bet you ain't nobody out here who spend more time with the coaches and the teachers than to these kids than I do. It's time for a stand-up. Men who's got these houses, women, if you need a mentor for your son, bring them around us. We're not bad people. We're good people. Our community is good. Jones Sub, Romulus as a whole is good. And I don't want to hear that we bad, because we're not a bad community. I've raised 3 children in here. I just graduated, one with honors. My other 2 are doing great in school right now. Their friends are doing good. I got an order of the eyes that's doing good. It's not the children. You're a product of your environment, people. Listen to me. You are a product of your environment. And if you just let your kids go out the way, then they're going to be a product to the streets. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Barry?
Good evening. Barry Bowman, Cherokee Drive, Romulus.
Good evening, Barry.
Before I get into what I came here to talk about, I just want to share with you an incident I witnessed at the Speedway gas station last Friday night. I went in, it was early in the morning, and although I had eaten quite a bit during the day with the barbecues and stuff, I was still hungry, and I went up there, and it was about 1:45 in the morning. I went up to the kiosk and I ordered my food, and when I turned around to go pay, I noticed a police officer had come into the Speedway gas station there inside and was talking to what I thought, in my humble opinion, was a elderly homeless man. And so I went and I got in line and I paid for my food, and the officer went up and he punched in a food order. Well, after a few minutes, the lady from the counter called me over and said, gave me my food. And I went over at the counter, and there's like 5 stools, and I sat at the end. And I noticed that this elderly man was getting a coffee, and he sat about 2 stools away from me. And to make a long story short, the lady called the officer over for his food order, which he had already paid for. And when I was sitting there eating, the officer came over, gave the perceived homeless man his sandwich, and patted him on the shoulder and said, "Here, I hope this helps. You take care." And the officer walked out. I don't know who the officer was, but I tell you, that night I was proud to be a Romulus citizen. And because if this is any indication of our Romulus officers, that cop was a very fine man. So, okay. I watched the last council meeting at home, and you brought up about water rates. The issue of water rates came up. And I kind of started laughing because if a person is going to be upset about a few dollar increase a month or so in their water rates, now just wait for a couple more months. When we in the suburbs think about the Detroit bankruptcy, we don't, we say, oh, good luck with that, and we don't think that it's going to have a dramatic effect on us. But we are wrong. Detroit is $18 billion in debt. Somehow they're going to have to come up with that money. And the emergency manager has decided one of the things that he's going to do is either, one, establish or get established the Regional Water Authority, or 2, sell off the Detroit Water and Sewer Department. Okay, what this all means is, at most, the water rates are going to triple. And if people don't realize, what this is really going to do to everybody in the suburbs. Mr. Ficano has already signed off on the project, but the Oakland County Executive and Macomb County Executive are fighting it. Now, what does this entail? Okay, the Water and Sewer Department, okay, they've got to make up $1.8 billion. And through various means. And of course, the only revenue that they have is the we, the suburban water customers, okay? There's $2.5 to $4 billion a year that has to go into capital improvements, all right? There's $5.3 billion in water and sewer bonds that have to be met, okay? And there's no secret that already Detroit is struggling with making their water customers pay, because 42% of Detroit residents and businesses don't pay their water debt. The city of Hamtramck owes the Detroit City and Water $16 million that they haven't paid in 3 years, okay? So after a while, Detroit writes off the debt that they have as far as the people that aren't paying the bills after a few years, as I mentioned. So who's getting the brunt of that? We, the customers, because that's spread upon all the customers. Now, to make matters even worse, the Water and Sewer Department, as far as its retirees, okay, it's a separate entity of the city of Detroit. So when you're looking at the police and fire, the police and fire retirees, when you're looking at the regular general employees, you're not talking about the water and sewer employees and their retirement. There's $675 million in whack, out of whack right now. So who's going to make that up? We are, okay? Over the next 10 years, all right, it's projected the first year will cost us water residents $65.4 million the first year. The second year and for the following 9 years, it's going to be $47 million that they're going to charge the suburban water customers. So if these people are upset about a few dollars a month, just wait till this train hits us. And it's coming down the track. And like I said, it's either going to be through an authority or it's going to be through a privatization. And if it's privatized, it's even going to be even worse, because they will be able to tack on administrative cost, additional administrative cost, and implementation fees. So you're talking about a tremendous, tremendous increase in our water bills. That when you see this on TV, they just mention about the animosities supposedly between the county executives, arguing over such a thing. And the Detroit Free Press had a article not too long ago on the front page on a Sunday that it's just the usual hostile suburban attitude towards Detroit. There's a lot in play here, but do you know who's going to get blamed for this? You guys, because people don't understand. They're busy watching, what Kim Kardashian is doing this week and Justin Bieber. They don't take the interest that a lot of us do. So I don't know how you guys can get the word out, but the train is coming down the track, and it's going to hit us hard. Like I said, it's at least going to double the water rates, if not triple the water rates, because of all the obligations that we're going to have to make up.
Good.
Thanks,
All right, thank you, Barry. Any other comments from the audience? Okay, we'll close that part out, Madam Clerk.
Number 8 is unfinished business. Number 9 is new business.
Mr. Bard,
Yes, Mr. Bosworth.
if I could, and it's not going to be popular, but I got to do what I feel I have to do here. We were informed tonight that the police department is changing the towing policy as of July the 4th. I'd like a resolution by council, and if somebody will support me, I'll expand on it, that this policy does not take effect until the council members are provided all the documents in regards to the companies and the fees that are being charged.
Support.
You making the motion?
I make the motion, yeah.
You made the motion.
I made the motion.
I made the motion, I was supporting the motion.
Oh, okay. You supported Mr. Crowd?
Yes.
And I will expand on that. I think there's a violation of the city charter in this. I think that no department or department heads can assess any fees on any private individual companies without the approval of city council. We have seen no documents at all. They brought a third company in. I'm not questioning their ability to pick companies. I'm questioning their ability of assessing fees without council approval. This council, over the many years that I've been here, anytime there's been a fee structure or a fee change, be it cemetery, building, recreation, anything, that it's always been approved by council. I looked tonight that the fire department has requested a meeting with council in regards to billing with their department with, I guess, ambulance service, and that's the purpose of my discussion. And that a time be set that we can review these documents and take a vote.
Okay. Been motioned by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Mr. Kraut, for a resolution for information on the towing service situation. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, before you
Oh,
go,
yeah.
just discussion, I just want to make sure that I'm clear on the motion. That's to put the implementation of the new fees and the selection of the suppliers on hold until council has the information and can review it?
Until council can be provided with documents that we can review and vote if it's going to
Okay.
be a fee charge and a fee structure changer. I don't think that any department head has the right to attach fees to a company without council approval.
So it's really just the fee schedule and the process?
And the
Okay, I just-
process
okay.
itself.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
No.
Ms. Makowski?
Yes.
Ms. Choate?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes.
Chair votes no. Motion passes.
Me the stance that what we did administratively was legal and by charter. I had offered to council on the fee portion of it to hold off. No one really took me up on that. I'm not really sure what weight that motion carries, but I intend to administer the city based on our city attorney and the charter as it's interpreted by the city attorney. And if he tells me something different, I'd be happy to change that portion of it. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I appreciate your feedback and plan to move forward. Thank you.
And Mr. Barton, if I can expand, I mean, the council members that didn't vote in favor of it have just opened the door up for any department head that wants to assess a fee without council approval. I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong. I think nobody has a right to assess a fee on a company doing business with our city unless council approves it. And that's what's taking place here. The towing companies will now give, and you can call it a service charge, a fee. They will give the city of Romulus $50 for every vehicle the police department tows. There's no sense trying to hide this and not talk about it. You know, I mean, from now on, when you get involved in an accident and they tow your car, that it's going to be an extra $50 that the city of Romulus is going to get. And, I mean, if the council wants to vote and say it's good, that's fine. I have no problem with it. I think that we have a right to take a vote on it.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify my position, this on the fee schedule, I was open to trying to work with you on that. I'm pretty clear in my opinion and the authority as the charter rules and as it's stated in the attorney's opinion. I'm basically doing what Mayor Lambert did, Mayor Oakley did, mayors before me, and they did it administratively. I will provide you the work rules that were established. I committed to that. You know, you can vote on your resolution. That's fine. I respect that. I'm not going to continue to go on and on about it. We'll continue to communicate and share that information. If I hear something different from our city attorney, I encourage council, since they also work for you, to, you know, unfortunately the city attorney is on vacation this week. He couldn't be here earlier, but I encourage you to have conversation with him on that as well. And if there's something he wants to change in his opinion, I'm open to that. I'm not going to do anything that goes against our city attorney. Thank you.
Mr. Barton, if I may?
Yes.
I think what's the point here is that no fees shall be assessed without city council approval. And that's what we're asking in this resolution, to be put on hold, and you did offer that earlier. So to put that on hold until we have a good understanding of what it is you're doing. So I agree that you can choose the towing company, but you're not allowed by law to enter into contracts and to assess fees. That's,
And my point being, it shouldn't have to come to this. We should have been told this ahead of time, but it has to come to this. As of this point, nobody up here has seen the contract. Nobody up here has
It's not a
seen the rules.
contract. And
Well,
if I could clarify, those residents
They
aren't going
signed,
to be charged that
they
fee.
signed their name on a document.
So I think the debate is about a contract and about the fees, and I'd offered up what I'd offered up before. The motion that I heard said that it puts this, that stops this action and stops the
Yeah,
fees. And
that's
I don't
true.
agree with that part of it, because I believe I do have the authority to select the company. So I was willing to work with you on the fee portion. No one took me up on that, so it is unfortunate it comes to this, but I'm going to continue to adhere to what the attorneys tell me I have the authority to do, as he did to other prior mayors, so.
Okay. All right.
John?
Yes.
Well, considering that the attorney is out of town for a week, I don't see any problem with putting the whole thing on hold for a week, till we can meet with the attorney. And I think that's I don't think that's unreasonable to ask.
Okay. Any other questions? Discussion?
There's no more new business. Number 10 is communication. And number 11, adjournment.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Wadsworth, supported by Mr. Kraut, for adjournment. Mr. Wadsworth?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Choate?
Yes.
Ms. Abdo?
Yes?
Makowski, yes.
Chair votes yes, we are adjourned. Thank you.